Hi, my name is Cecilia Kochik, and today I will be talking about the landmark Supreme Court case Miranda versus Arizona. This is one of the most important criminal justice cases in United States history because it created what we now know as Miranda rights. The case began in 1963 when a man named Ernesto Miranda was arrested in Arizona. He was accused of kidnapping and robbery. After being taken into police custody, the officers questioned him for around 2 hours. During that time, the police did not take the time to tell him that he had the right to remain silent or the right to speak with a lawyer. Eventually, Miranda signed a written confession, and that confession became a major piece of evidence that they used against him in trial. He was then convicted and sentenced to prison. However, his lawyers argued that his confession should not have been used because he was never informed of his constitutional rights before questioning. They believe the confession was unfairly obtained. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court of the United States. In 1966, the court made a 5-4 decision in favor of Miranda. The court ruled that before police question someone in custody, they must clearly explain certain rights. These rights are, first, the right to remain silent. Second, anything the person says can be used against them in court. Third, the right to have an attorney present during questioning. And fourth, if the person cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to them. These warnings have now been titled Miranda rights, and police always read them to you if you get arrested or when you're being questioned before you say anything. Most people hear these rights like in TV shows or like in movies when the cops say something like, oh, you have the right to remain silent. Even though people only usually hear it in entertainment, it actually stems from this case. This case is strongly connected to the Constitution as well. It relates to the Fifth Amendment, which protects people from being forced to testify against themselves. This is called protection against self-incrimination. It also relates to the Sixth Amendment, which guarantees the right to an attorney in criminal cases. Because of this ruling, police departments across the country had to change how they handled arrest and questioning. Officers needed to make sure suspects understood their rights before interrogation. This case is important in United States history because it increased fairness in the criminal justice system. Before this ruling, some people may not have known they could stay silent or ask for a lawyer. They may have confessed because they felt pressured or confused. Miranda v. Arizona helped balance the power between police and citizens and made sure the government follows constitutional rules when investigating crimes. Some people criticized the decisions and believed it made police work harder. Others believed it was necessary to protect innocent people and prevent abuse. Even today, courts still discuss Miranda rights in later cases, which shows how lasting this decision has been and how impactful it has been in our country. My personal opinion is that this was very important and a fair ruling. I believe that everyone should know their rights, especially during stressful situations like an arrest. Many people may not understand the law, so informing them helps protect justice. Not many people take the time to understand their constitutional rights out of their own free will, and it may be that the first time they've ever heard those constitutional rights or had them read to them was when they were being arrested. If we did not do that, there would be so many people who would get arrested and not have any clue what their rights are, and it would cause a rise in unconstitutional and unlawful arrest. There would be such a higher rates of false incarceration that it would be hard on our system. I also think the right to a lawyer is very important because legal situations in general can be confusing. There's a lot of terminology that the average person won't understand. And just like you would go to the doctor when you have a medical problem, it makes sense that you would also see an expert of law when you're dealing with a law problem or a law related issue of whether it comes to like breaking a law or just not understanding it. A lawyer will help you interpret that. Having an attorney helps ensure that people understand what is happening so that they get fair treatment. Overall, Miranda v. Arizona changed law enforcement practices across America and is one of the most recognized Supreme Court decisions today. Thank you for listening.